The following is a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio. Keep your mission on your mind and your mind on your mission. This is Mission Minded with Michael Coleman.
It is time to do some mission minding. Get your mind, your mission, and your mind. He is Michael Coleman, the CEO of the Heart of Alabama Food Bank. Our good friend, of course, joins us every single week. We missed you last week, man, by the way. I realized it was a Labor Day weekend, and I like to give my employees some time off if they ask for it.
Yeah.
We did work 12 hours on Monday. We get after it around here. We don't have time to waste. And our podcast listeners don't give a squat if, we get a day off. They want their new material. So we promise we will have it for you today. And of course, we're getting into 7 red flags CEOs shouldn't ignore. Normally, I like these lists. I'm going to be straight out honest with you. All these just plain suck. I mean, this is just horrible. They're so bad that it's almost going to be kind of funny to roll with these things. But first of all, how are you doing? Everything good? Did you have a nice Labor Day? And I know things are starting to cool off a little bit. You got the seasons coming up, super important for you with Thanksgiving and Halloween and stuff. It's all good.
Yeah. Food bank's good. Every year is just a roll the dice, but with donors. But we're working very hard to let them know how much we appreciate them. So food bank's doing well. I will tell you, this has nothing to do with what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
But I had 2 huge trees, pine trees, and really one of them, it looked like it was 2 trees that grew together at the base and then split off. So you could say it was 2 trunks, but really 3 trees. But anyway, and had a little tight space to get back there in my backyard, and back of my yard's elevated. I was just amazed at how dang expensive it is now. Used to be, years ago, you could have some trees removed for $300-400 or
Thousands.
$5,000.
Yep.
It's have ridiculous. The tees removed and stumps ground down, and now makes a huge difference because I couldn't do any sort of landscaping. Some of my grass wouldn't grow. It was real thin as it kind of went up the little hill there where the trees were. And so, much more sunlight in the backyard. Now, my dog's not quite as happy because the squirrels are having to relocate to the neighboring trees.
Yeah, it's poor squirrels. Yeah.
Yes. So my golden doodle is not as frantic as he normally is. He stands guard out the window on squirrel alert about 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
So he's not as happy. But I'm just blown away by how much.
No, and there's a waiting list to get trees done too. I mean, it's crazy. It is fun to watch. It is fun to watch. They're monkeys, man. They just roll up there and they pull stuff down. It's a hell of a lot easier to hire somebody. You're right, $2,000 to $3,000 for a 60-70 foot pine tree.
Yeah.
And really, you're paying them to haul the crap off and get it off your land and get everything out. The cutting part
Yeah.
isn't that hard. I will tell you this though, and I had this at the last house I was in. I had a gentleman who had just built a fence up against my property, and I had a dead tree that was on my property that was about 45 feet tall, and it had vines growing up on it, but it was dead. And he calls me up and says, "Hey, listen," he says, I'm your neighbor. I'm behind you, blah, blah, blah. I just want to let you know about this tree that's in your land, and just, I just built this fence and da-da-da-da-da. I said, "No problem." Well, a month later, I'm cutting the grass, and here comes this guy in this old pickup truck, and he waves me over, and I'm like, "Who's this guy?" And he's like, "Hey, I'm your neighbor." I was like, "Oh, nice to meet you." And I turned the lawnmower off, and he goes, "Yeah, about that tree." And I said, "Yeah, I just moved in. Have you had a chance to take a look at it yet?" He goes, "Well, I'm just letting you know that if that tree, falls and messes up my fence, you're gonna be paying for that too." And I said, and so I called my insurance company, Insure Shooting. If you have a tree that is intruding on your land, or that is on your land or over top of fence, or if it falls on your fence. Now, if it falls and I don't let you know about it, then I have to pay for it. My insurance to pay for it. But if I let you know that you have a tree that could damage my fence, you have to pay for it. And so,
Really?
and it ended up being $2,300. And I was like, listen, I just moved in and things are kind of tight and this thing was going to go. And I was like, and so I had to spend $2,300 the first month I moved to the house. And I was like, yeah. So, but yeah,
Wow.
stupid trees. Who needs them?
Yeah.
Damn
Yeah.
trees. You do everything to make these trees look good and then they outgrow themselves and then it costs us 10 grand to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, well, I hope you have a nice open backyard. Now you can nude sunbathe or do whatever you want to do back there. That's great. Uh,
Nobody wants that visualization.
Stuff and red flag CEOs shouldn't ignore. I was hoping that maybe out of these seven, there'd be like one that goes, oh, why would you want to ignore that? But these are all just like in your face, like, destructive feedback, public shaming,
It's
intentional
it's
exclusion, unfair expectations. I mean, these are all just like, geez, I mean, who would want
it's
these?
no, it's very true. But they're so common though.
Yeah.
Um, because a lot of it just kind of flows along with how we are as humans. Um, and that's what I'm saying. When I look at it, everybody can look at this list and go, "Well, yeah, that's all a no-brainer." But there's so many things to where there's different degrees of this.
Mhm.
So, and I'll tell you one that I personally struggle with um, is is the very first one on the destructive feedback. And the reason I struggle with it is not because I'm interested in tearing people down or whatever, or but I tend through sarcasm to when I'm close to when I like an employee and I'm close to them, and I start teasing around lots of times, I'll pick apart what they're doing and just tease them about it, and it's all meant to be in good fun, but so if if I'm not careful sometimes I enjoy the playing around and I can focus on that. And it can really start to, if I don't counter that with lots of praise, then it puts makes people, it creates self-doubt in people.
I've actually seen this. I have had lunch with you and some of your coworkers.
Yeah.
It wasn't uncomfortable, but I was like, well, that's nice. Nice they could tease each other. But you're also in a power position. You're the
Yes.
CEO of the Heart of Alabama Food Bank,
Yes.
so you have to be a little bit more careful. Well, you just have
Yeah.
to be careful about what you're saying because people want to please you. You're a hell of a great guy to work for, and people appreciate you, and they know how smart you are, and so they want to make you happy. And so that I could certainly see where you're teasing a little bit. Maybe that's your way of saying, "Hey, listen, I'm one of you guys. It's all
That's
cool.
right. I mean, I'm
You
like,
still have a job. I'm not firing you
that's
today,
right.
so chill out. But I do want to tease you a little bit on this particular thing you're doing. So I get that.
Well, I'm blown away sometimes because again, I think of myself as relatable. And like I said, I allow employees to tease me back. So this isn't like a one-way thing. Like
Mhm.
I get my butt on my shoulders if they tease me. No, if I screw up, people tease me all the time. And I think it's funny because to me, funny is funny. And even if I'm the butt of the joke, funny is just funny. But sometimes um, I find myself saying something like, and sometimes, so let's take it out of the teasing realm. What it's really about is something I learned in the Army a long time ago. Was right after you do an event is the time to kind of do what the Army refers to as an after action review. And the point is, it's our tendency is when we get up there and we're reviewing it. So you don't have to be a CEO, you could be a manager, you could be just oversight of anything, and you're going through a review process. And the tendency is to say, okay, employee A, why did you fail, or why did you didn't do what you were supposed to do? In a much more productive feedback is don't focus on who's at fault. Focus on what was supposed to happen and then focus on what did happen.
Yeah.
And so when you find, okay, we were supposed to go to A and instead we, went to B or B happened, focus on uh, what what the breakdown was. Was it a communications breakdown? Don't focus on who failed, focus on what went wrong so that we all just learn, okay, communication or whatever is something we have to really focus on. So you can really And I remember one time I was learning that as a new leader, um, and I remember really harping on a guy. And again, I was in my late 20s, made a lot of mistakes as a leader because you're growing.
Sure.
I didn't particularly care for the person, so that makes it easier. But I ripped him pretty good. I didn't follow the Army model. I followed Michael's model, which was ass backwards. And but anyway, I nailed this guy pretty hard, but I nailed him publicly too.
Yeah.
And I just saw it just kind of took the wind out of him. And I remember that because I've always regretted. I really tried to learn from that and say, I never want to diminish them, especially somebody who's really trying. It's I don't want to diminish them. I want to build them up. And so I just have to be very careful about not giving destructive feedback, which, and again, kind of feeds into the public shaming.
Yeah.
Again, that's not your intent. You're not trying to embarrass somebody, but when you're giving destructive feedback, especially in a group, it brings in all those other elements along with it.
Let me, I want to just pick a couple of these unfair
Okay.
expectations. I think it's pretty easy. Intentional exclusion. I get that one. You just did public shaming. What is destructive feedback? What is that all about?
Oh, that's well, actually, that's what I was. That's kind of what I was
Kind of
referring
same
to.
thing?
Just
Okay.
say, yeah. Let me tell you something about intentional exclusion.
Yeah.
I would even say you could say intentional exclusion or unintentional. As leaders, again, I'm in an organization. I'll just make this up. Let's say I have 6 people that report to me directly. So I'm going to go to lunch. And the tendency is lots of times you pop, for a person to pop their head in the office of somebody that they match with
Mm.
personality wise. Doesn't mean they're your best employee. It's just somebody. If I want to go hang out, I want to hang out with people I enjoy talking to, have things in common with. So it's just very natural to go talk to employees, regardless of what level they're on, that fit that bill. Like, hey, we have a Subway and McDonald's right down the street. Lots of times we just walk down there, and so it's like, hey, we're going to lunch. You want to go? And not really work to extend the invitation to other people. And so you're hanging out with who you feel comfortable with, but you're sending a message to those like, yeah,
Yeah.
every time he goes out. So it creates I'm not part of a clique, or I'm not, and then you can really mess with the dynamic and the culture of an organization when people feel like, okay, the boss has an inner circle, and then there's the outer circle. And if you're not in that inner circle, it can create resentment and jealousy, pettiness, all that stuff that goes with that. So yeah, that's again, it's not your intention. Every human wants to hang out. If you're just going to go hang for an hour and eat lunch and just chill out, you want somebody that's easy to talk to. You don't want somebody that's more difficult. But you just have to be very, very mindful on that kind of stuff.
What about reputation attacks? I'm just going to name a couple of these because I quite frankly don't know what that means. I mean, obviously, if you're attacking someone's reputation, but why, as a CEO, would you do that?
Yeah, so again, these are all things that are so easy. You can have the best of intentions. So again, because I'm a sarcastic person, lots of times I can tease somebody. So um, let's say let's say that somebody does something. I mean, they're just a great employee. Everybody respects them,
Mm.
but then they do something that's really stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know it's stupid, and they know it's stupid, and it's not something they rarely do. So, I'll sometimes, that's get back to the teasing, I'll kind of blow it up a little bit. And then I might say it where somebody else hears, again, just simple. And and to me, I'm like, look, you never mess up. I'm focused on one thing. But to somebody else, it's like, oh, that person's really a loser. Like if you focus on that.
Yeah.
And and um and people work very hard and work hard to establish their reputations and things like that. And again, if somebody was passing by and didn't know the dynamic of our relationship, or somebody was visiting, or it could even be a new employee, be totally confused um, about what's going on. And they're like, well, I heard the CEO say this about this employee. And if people knew us, they're like, oh, they do that all the time. They go back and forth at each other. But again, you could, it's very easy to um, hurt somebody's reputation. I'll tell you this as well. Sometimes when uh, people ask me about ex-employees or people that I know or people I've encountered, and I always feel the need to be very honest with them.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of how I see everybody, to include myself. Everybody's got strong points, everybody's got weak points. And so when somebody comes along and they say, Michael, do you know so and so? Oh, yeah, I know him very well. Well, what do you think about him? I don't want to do anything to hurt them at all. But I feel like, hey, if you're thinking about hiring this person, well, here's what I know he's great at. But, here's the other side. And I'm trying to be honest, and I can end up very easily hurting somebody's reputation when that's not my intention. I'm
Yeah.
trying to give the person an honest perspective. So there's all sorts of ways you could bump into that unintentionally.
Do you find that from a bigger standpoint, I got a friend of mine that runs an express oil change. It's a garage, and
Yeah,
it's all guys.
yeah,
So once in a while there's a female that works there, but normally they're not. And obviously when you got all guys, the humor level is going to be a little bit differently, and they're going to be teasing each other and they're smacking each other across the face and this. And some people just don't like that.
yeah,
Some people want to get paid to go to work and they want to be left alone. They want to change
right,
their oil. And this one guy who's been there for over 35 years is like, yeah, I'm going to end up losing my job one day just because I'm going to hire someone that just can't be teased. And
yeah,
he's like, what's wrong with these people? Well, they can't even take a
yeah,
joke anymore.
yeah,
What is the best way to? Because there are, and I can see that in you, but I know you're a loving guy, and I know you're not going to like throw someone under the bus the first day they walk in the office. You're going to get to know them
right,
well first. They know who
yeah,
and what you are, but I do watch how they react to what you say. Um, and I think a lot of that maybe comes from your service work. Comes from you being in the service, because I know in the
yeah.
service there's a
Oh, yeah.
load of teas and
Oh, yeah.
in the armed forces. So I mean, and there probably needs to be. But just talk a little bit about that, and just talk about
Yeah.
just being careful from a CEO standpoint, because some people just like
Yeah.
to tease and like to have a good time, and a lot of people enjoy that.
That's right. And really, um, I kind of test the waters with somebody initially to see what kind of personality they have, to make sure they understand I'm teasing. It's all in good fun. Um, but there are people, what I tell them is it's just like sexual harassment. If somebody says something that's inappropriate, and I'm not talking about groping or anything like that. But let's say somebody says something that just offends somebody for whatever
Yeah,
reason. Maybe it
yeah,
was the language they use or whatever. It's up to the person who's the offended one to then speak up and go to that person, very calmly explain, hey, I'm letting you know this bothers me when you talk about this or joke about these things. At that point, then it becomes the responsibility of that person to not do that, to stop doing that
yeah.
out of consideration for your coworker.
Whether there's a tension there or not. But a lot of
Yeah,
people look at that. Come on, don't even go there. It doesn't matter
nope, that's
if
right.
if I say you look nice in that dress and you take it the wrong way, that's on me, not you.
That's right. And almost every company in their personal handbook has a very similar process. And so when somebody would come in and say, "Hey, this person, he keeps saying this," and the very first thing I say is, "Okay, well, have you gone to him and talked to him?" And if you hadn't, I don't want to hear anything else. You have to go to people. you can't say, well, they know that they're upsetting me. No, you have to go talk to them. But then again, and that's all about, you want an environment of respect and all that. So lots of times I tell people, I try to gauge it for myself, but sometimes I'm like, hey, I could say something and I could be in my own mind, it might be the wrong in tone. I might be looking at you, but not seeing you.
Mhm.
Like I'm sitting here zoned out because I'm thinking about a problem in my head. I'm not even paying attention. I don't even know you're in the room necessarily, but somebody may say you were staring me down, you know. And I said people don't know what they don't know, and so again, encourage people to come tell me. And as is in the handbook, if I say something, do something, anything that upsets you, concerns you, worries you, you come tell me. The very first thing I'm going to do is own it. Because like you said, it's all about
It
the
doesn't matter. Yeah.
reality. Perception is reality. And if somebody says I hurt their feelings or I made them feel less than, that's the reality I have to work from. So for me, because I don't want to do that with anybody, I want to say, number one, I'm sorry, that, try to explain it, not excuse it, but explain what my intentions were. I'm sorry, that I'm, made you feel that way, and I'm going to be extra mindful moving forward, to not repeat, my behavior.
Yeah.
But again, some people are scared to speak up because you don't want to be the little, the complainer, the whiner. You don't want to be the person who can't take a joke. And so, I mean, there's just a million different kind of
No,
things. And I think it's,
there's nothing worse too when you think that you understand someone's level of humor or what teasing or whatever it is, and then you come to find out it's happened to me several times where I'll get called in and I'll say, "Hey, so and so said you said this that," and I'm like, "What?" And I'm like,
yeah.
what are you talking about?" And I'm like, it blows my mind. I'm thinking, really? And they're like, "Yeah, I'm sure you didn't mean anything by it, but you just want to go tell her, hey, listen, blah 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 blah." Because I'm always a jovial, in your face kind of, I'll tease people and try to have fun, and sometimes I think we take things too seriously in our lives, and
Well,
uh,
yeah.
so
I've
but
got I've offered people. I remember one time going out, just trying to make our work more cohesive. So I'm like, hey, let's go out to this place, and you get an appetizer, you get a drink, you don't or nothing. We're just gonna sit and talk, have a couple of drinks. Well, then you've got people who say, well, I don't drink and I don't feel comfortable in the presence of alcohol. And I'm like, I understand. You don't have to go. And then they're like, yeah, but then I feel like I'm not part of the group.
yeah.
And then, oh, just personnel is the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah, it is. And you try to do the right thing, and then yeah, I get it. All right, great stuff, my man. I appreciate you. Bite by Bite, another show we're going to be doing here next. It runs right up against Mission Minded. We do it every single week right here, and it's specific to the Heart of Alabama Food Bank. So, what are we talking about in Bite by Bite?
Oh, we're going to get into a little bit about just showing appreciation, and some of the battles that we have, and just the people that the army that it takes, and the army that we have is just incredible. But how important it is, for us to connect with them. We've got a big event scheduled that we're going to be highlighting, kind of our heroes harvest, kind of talking about.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're just going to take some special time to just recognize all the all-stars we have in our presence, and we're real excited about
All
it.
right, it's coming up next right here on Tony Curry Radio.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.